From Habion Multilateral High School, I went to Cardinal University, and the track records are there. We engage, we develop, and we have some controversies. But in the midst of all these challenges, we never, held anger against certain people. And some of our friends in student politics who disagree with us, we are the best of friends today. So when it comes to my Gibi, my goal is about building unity. You will never develop my Gibi when the people are not united. And that is the reason why I'm inspired. I want to inspire confidence in the new breed of generational leaders. I want to make sure that for the first time in the history of our country, no matter where you come from, specifically my Gibi, must sit on the table of brotherhood or sisterhood to develop the country to proper suggestions. Sometimes people believe that when you criticize a leader, it means you hate them. And this is the concept we should try to deracinate, not just in my Gibi, but in the entire country. Criticism is necessary. Had it not been for criticism, we would not be where we are today. We have to agree and disagree. But people are not unique to criticism. And with my background in activism, I want to be rebuked. I want people to tell me that you are wrong and the proper suggestions so that I can get good counsel. This is what I've always craved for. We can sit, we disagree, find a common ground, and move forward. And this is why I have always advocated for. If you see me in the past criticizing the government, I always end it up with recommendations. If you don't do this, this is what will happen. And on many occasions, some of the things that we said and we proffer suggestions, they did not listen. Today, I caught up with many of the leaders. Some of them were not elected 2017. Some of them were not elected 2020. Some of them will not be elected or re-elected come 2023.
I want to move forward. How do you see the current trend of developments in Margibi County? Do you think there are more work need to be done as we speak?
I think we need to demonstrate to the people of Margibi that it's a new era. Business should not be as usual. One accountability, one transparency. We want to hold people accountable. We should develop or muster the courage to rebuke our best friends, our public officials, even if we are close to them. We should prioritize Margibi over individuals. The reason why Africa, Liberia, and Margibi as a whole, we are underdeveloped because we refuse to speak truth to power. We refuse to hold our leaders accountable. And if we refuse to hold our leaders accountable, and they are engaged in acts of corruption, it will be a way of life. If you go to Booker Washington Institute, there's an abandoned project. And people who received the contracts and the money was given, no one is holding them accountable. The Lango Lepe Multipurpose Center is abandoned. You have so many unfinished projects in Margibi. The current superintendent, when he took over, he complained that over 3 million disappeared. The projects that were funded by taxpayers' money, those projects are abandoned. Who are those responsible? Did they money? Why those projects were not completed? When we begin to investigate and we hold people accountable, it serves as a form of deterrence. So people who will come to power, they'll be very afraid.
One of the reasons people will give you at times when you start to initiate these kinds of conversation is that the reason why most of those projects are not complete as we speak is the lack of funding. Today, you go across all of the 15 counties of Liberia. These are conversations that come out that the lack of funding is affecting most of these things. So those officials, perhaps if you want to initiate such a conversation, will tell you as well that in Margibi the situation is no different.
Oh, no. There was an audit conducted. I'm told that there was an audit conducted when I listened to the superintendent, and I had the time to read the newspapers, and they will follow up with some of those authorities at Lango Lepe and Booker Washington Institute. The funding was given. They didn't just complete the projects. The GSC audit record is there. The money was given. Granted, there's no funding. But if a project was to be implemented for 100,000 and they gave you 60,000, we want to see the level of work that 60,000 does. We want to see it. But They gave you all the money. You signed for the money. You didn't complete the project. We call for audit, and you can't account for that. And people are afraid to take people to tax right in our own backyard. I think the fight against corruption has to be holistic. We must start with ourselves.
You don't see it in Magibi?
I don't see that, because if I seen it in Magibi, I think those unfinished projects, we were going to hold these people accountable.
What do you think might be the problem? Perhaps it is that those in authority lacks the political will to ensure that these things happen, or perhaps it is the citizens themselves at times.
Culture of silence. People are afraid to speak out.
How do you approach a problem?
It's to be effective and bold. The laws are there. If laws were not meant to hold people accountable, there was no need for them to make the laws. The reason why we have the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia, because in the eyes of the crafter of the Constitution, they felt that one day some people were engaged in acts of corruption and they should hold them accountable. That was the reason why these laws were made. If the laws were not intended to hold people accountable and penalize them, there was no reason for us to make those laws. So therefore, we have to implement the laws to the letter.
Amongst those four, five ascended, because the five representatives and 2 senators that make up Magibi County, don't you see among them who you think perhaps to some extent is following the trend of which you speak of?
At this time, I want to decline. I don't want to put anyone at the stake of trying to present them negatively. But what I can say is, if they were really developmental in nature, those abandoned projects, someone who has spoken out, they were investigated and hold people accountable, and even call for the President of the Republic of Liberia and turn these people over. But I've not seen any of them advocating for the prosecution of those individuals. If they were also working in the interest of our people, then the Firestone Agriculture Workers Union will now be crying about their pension benefits.
That's exactly what's our next
cry
point.
everything.
That's exactly what's our next point. But I have been notified by my producer that I need to bring the microphone closer to you.
Okay.
Thank you. We have followed you in recent times, and times past, that you have been advocating for the Firestone workers, retired workers of Firestone, to receive their just benefits. How far is that process?
The process is ongoing, but I think the spirit of deviance is very chronic in the Liberian system. People don't respect public authority, and they don't venerate the rights of the most marginalized group of people. Let me say this. I'm a son of a rubber tapper. My father worked for Firestone for over 25 years. He was retired with $1,090. Out of frustration, he died. It hurts me. After 20 years, the same system has not changed. You see the people wallowing in poverty and desperation. Firestone has overused them. They do intensive labor. Even when they retire, they have to run after their money. The economic cost. There's no guarantee that when you leave Firestone in the morning to come to National Social Security and Welfare Corporation, you will get your money the same day. Some of them are ran behind their money for almost 5-6 years. They can't get that. It hurts me. And if you have leaders who are insensitive to the plight of these people, I don't need to tell you how these people look at them. They are just waiting for October 10 to make a decision. I don't know what that decision will be, but I'm judging from the fact that these people are angry. They feel abandoned. They feel marginalized.
Have you had a conversation with the Firestone management? Perhaps you speaking on behalf of them, that would the management be able to tell you these are the problems, these are the reasons why those Liberians that were laid off, that was retired, up to this time, their benefits is yet to be given?
I don't need to tell them to go verify what. The law is the law. I know the policies. Firestone is an American company.
At times you want to engage in the dialogue. You've been advocating, like you say. At times you want to engage in the dialogue so that you get the desirable results you need.
I think that's the reason why we are aspiring for the Senate.
So until you can become, until you enter the Liberian Senate, things cannot work up.
No, but you just told the public that, I've been advocating for the workers. They have foul leadership. Foul leadership has been engaging in that has the authority to sit with Firestone management to discuss issues affecting the workers. They have said that they have engaged the management. There has not been a result.
You want to consider at times you may take on a plight, perhaps reach out to those lawmakers and tell them these are the problems faced by the workers, and these are the solutions we think you can help employ so that we resolve the situation. Has there been a time where perhaps you took upon the time, perhaps inform the county caucus about some of these happenings?
So this is what happened. Around 2012, I had a time, 2009, when I worked with a USAID project called Liberia Youth Fragility Assessment. I was responsible for my Gibi because that project was meant to inform the U.S. government about the things that were lacking in the country and how do we proffer suggestions to the UP-led government to improve the lives of our people, specifically when it comes to economic freedom and vocational and technical institution, how it can be improved. I met nearly all the lawmakers. We had a time to discuss. One of the questions I posed to some of them was, why is it that it is very difficult for the caucus to establish a think tank that will be responsible to navigate, to engage the citizens at all levels in the 5 districts, so that some of the problems that are existing in the country, they will be able to bring it to you and proffer suggestions, saying you don't have the opportunity to meet them directly and engage them. What is stopping you? Because we need inclusiveness. But again, everybody have their different opinions. People represent political parties. People represent their independent nature. People represent maybe their constituent, it could be tribal. People represent different interest groups. So when you have a fragmentation of different interests popping in your head, it makes it very difficult for people to sit and discuss. So the best we could do was to use our platform as activists to tell them you have to do this or else there will be unspecified consequences. And these consequences came in 2014. Some of them were booted out. 2017, some of them were rejected. So the best we can do is to use our informal authority.
Your critics in MAGBC, at times they see those moves from you as one of the easiest ways to win the sympathy of Magibians to vote you to the Liberia. How do you see it?
How do you talk about sympathy? When someone is risking their life, it's only in Liberia people think activism is a small game. People sit behind microphone, go Facebook Live. When you are risking your life, I went to jail in this country. I was physically and psychologically tortured. At the NSA, the National Security Agency, at the Liberia National Police Headquarters, I spent many days languishing behind bars at the Monrovia Central Prison for crimes that I did not commit. The only thing I said was, this is wrong, and this is supposed to be done this way. And Me, it can be auditor, the Minister of State, the Solicitor General, the NPA. You can go there and audit them. When you have the information, if it is not sufficient enough, well, the Attorney General of the Republic of Liberia can still come to the public and say, we do not have significant evidence to take these people to court. But you have not audited
If
them.
that has happened, will you be trusting social report?
No, it's not about trust. It's about implementing the laws. I told you from the beginning, when laws were made, when those laws were made, was intended. They were intended to be applied against individuals. The only reason you have laws is because they should be applied against individuals. Those laws were not made for animals. So anyone who goes against these laws, they should be subjected to those laws and should be held accountable. That is simple.
If you were asked to create a government in terms of the fight against corruption, what would
I've
be your
never been a classroom teacher, so I don't find interest in
in terms of you
creating
looking over on a scale of 10, perhaps you have followed on some of the stands the executive have taken against corruption up to press and the ones they have failed to add on. Perhaps you want to give
I don't have this
a clear rating as per the fight against
I
corruption.
think I can give you observational survey, and that is, they have not demonstrated significantly well. I think the government has even admitted to that. They face some challenges. They talk about the legal system. You know, it has to be reformed, and this is something, it's a validation. So to say I gave the government this level, I think I can only give you statistics on observational survey, like what I've done. We still see people who abuse rights, and they are still moving, and they are not taken to court. People who squander resources of this country, when thousands of Liberians were crying, not just in this regime, in previous regime, it has been a culture of impunity. What I can tell you, every government that comes to power, they have practiced culture of impunity, apparently because of association, because of connection, because of fraternity, because of religious affiliation, because of ethnicity.
Do fraternity exist in the government?
Of course. I mean, when I say fraternity, like you're my friend, we come from the same association, we are alumni association, we graduate from the same school. At the end of the day, no, I can't prosecute one of my friends.
We understand you have an ambition to contest in Margibi in the 2023 elections. You care to confirm that on this platform?
Oh, yes. I am aggressively engaging my people. We are holding consultations with stakeholders in Margibi and even in Mosorado. Some of them are from Mosorado. And we are discussing with a wide range of our colleagues, both in the diaspora. We're trying to present a different argument. An argument that inculcates a lot of things: unity, national development, economic freedom, social justice, and peace. These are the arguments that we are presenting. My intention to contest the Senate seat in Margibi is a protest against corruption. It's a protest against marginalization. Margibi was established December 15, 1985, under the PRC regime. 37 years ago, they told us we were the future leaders of Margibi. The future has arrived, but they are still competing with us. What legacy are we going to leave? What have they done that we are incapable of providing? Like I said, if this was a matter of selection, I won't sit interview because we have certified all the conditions to represent the people of Margibi in the Senate and perform beyond expectation. Because we have the quality, we have the commitment, and we have demonstrated over the period of time that the best we can do for our people is to amplify their voices in the Senate. That is the bigger platform of advocacy anywhere in any government.
At times before declaring such an ambition, you want to have a conversation with the locals. You want to have a conversation with Margibians. You want to understand what are the challenges. They want to tell you that these are situations confronting them. What have Margibians been telling you so far that perhaps triggered your decision to contest for the Senate?
I think they are being disappointed. And the only reason why they are being disappointed and made decisions because of the availability of people they saw in the race. I have sat with these people. I hail from Firestone. I met with our leadership. What are the issues? They have complained to me. I went into the divisions. I met with the camp or supervisors. I have sat with them. I have met with a cross-section of the youth and student community. I have met with market women. I have gone to the prison compound to interact with the victim, people who are being illegally jailed. I have sat with the teachers to sit with them and listen to them. I have met the market women. I have met with the money changers. Sometimes I disguise myself, get on motorbike, ride around Kakata, ride to Boston, smell notice, just to interact with them to see the issues that are confronting them. I have gone into the ghettos. My Gibi has almost 200 ghettos, from district number 1 all the way to district number 5. I have been in the ghettos. I have sat with them to ask them, why are you doing drugs? Why are you living this life? Why are you in a graveyard? Why, when you give birth in a graveyard as a Zoko, you sell your babies? People are selling babies because they can't afford. So these visitations have given me a clearer picture of how to tailor my message and why it is necessary at this time to represent our people into the Senate and make better laws, advocate for them, give them economic freedom, bring investors in this country that will create jobs. And that my Gibi will not be a liability to the government. Let me make this very clear. We want to change the narratives of politics. The days of depending on national government to give us, my Gibi has a budget of 425,000. That's what we receive for county development. My Gibi has a population of over 230,000. But yet, we receive 425,000 United States dollar for county development. That is ridiculous. But you see, the way people think, people believe, and this is what really annoys me at times. When you talk about tourism, you know, my Guinea is very unique to tourism. We have all the lagoons. We have Firestone that is there. That we have good soil for us to grow rice. We have a very beautiful landscape. The topography of my Guinea is so unique. My goal is to desist from dependency to independence, where we can generate our own revenues, attract investors, create jobs,
these are all brilliant points, but one of the arguments that stand tall is that many believes the politics about Margibit is unless an official, perhaps one who is deemed to be the political godfather, raises your hands up, you cannot win the elections. It has been proven all times by previous individuals who declared their intention. Those individuals have raised their hand in Margibi and won elections. Do you subscribe to such a belief?
Friend, let me disagree. There are times, yes, they have been successful, but many of them have lost. First, I don't subscribe to Godfather. I think that is a political showmanship, and it is strategically designed to mentally subdue individuals to believe that their lives or future is in the hands of certain individuals. As I respect people, but I don't believe in the idea of Godfather. No way. Secondly, I think my Gibeons have not been really told the truth during elections. You know, during elections, politicians tend to be very vulnerable. The voters make decisions, and at times they go at all costs. They see that that is the only means of survival. If they don't get elected, it will be difficult for them to live. They go to the extent of making promises they know they will not. They take loan to spend on these people. Fandela is going with ideas. I am not desperate. We have made a case. You elected people before who gave you millions and thousands of dollars. For 9 years, you did not reap the benefit of your election of those people into power. People came and rode on tribalistic platform. That my king's man. You elected them 9 years. You did not see them. Fandela is coming pure, clear, unique, fortified and armed to the teeth with a message.
Senator Emmanuel Nukwe has been branded across the politics in Margibi as the political godfather of Margibi. Do you subscribe to that? Do you see Emmanuel Nukwe as a political godfather of Margibi County?
I just told you that I disagree with the terminology of godfather, and those who subscribe to that, I have no control over how they think. I don't control them, and I think the freedom of thought, they are exercising their freedom of thought.
How do you describe his style of politics in just a word?
I think for now it will not be a factor in this political process, and I don't want to discuss personality.
But he has greater influence over aspect the decisions of the voter. We have seen that over times. Many a times his voice matters in as to who.
When people are elected, it may they have influence. But after election, I'm not too sure whether influence can continue. 2017, I think it was proving that, well, if the dominance, as you claim, it means the UP will have, gotten Margibi in 2017.
He came by in 2020 reconsolidate.
Oh, yeah, reconsolidate. That is senatorial. So, again, like I said, after election, he was elected 2005, 2011, but something happened along the way, 2017. But like I said, whether you like it or not, there are people who believe in certain leaders. That is undisputed.
But that is not Vendela Patrick.
But, no, I believe in them. I believe in leaders. Let me tell you, no one will tell you, and this is why I frown at some of my friends. There's no government that comes to power they have not achieved. If you discuss the failures of the government, you should muster the courage to also say the government has succeeded in certain areas. No one was born to fail.
In an instance where you are contacted by Senator Emmanuel Nukwe, Vendela, I understand your plight. I believe your plight reconciles the people of Margibi. Carnival are going to support you both morally and to some extent financially, so as to ensure that your plot you have perhaps a reconciled mind, so we can work together and deliver on these agendas for Margibi. Are you open at any point in time for such?
Like I said, my platform is based on a one Margibi agenda, not leaving anyone behind. Under the one Margibi agenda, I made you to understand want to work with everybody. You can come from different political institutions. That is not my concern. As long as elections are over and we are elected, we have to sit on the table to discuss one Margibi. We don't care which political parties you come from. That is not my concern.
Let's look at the presence of former Minister of State Nathaniel McGill has also expressed interest in the Margibi senatorial seat. Do you see him as a major threat?
I have never seen anyone as a major threat. And
you want to look at financially wise. You want to look at the influence of the ruling establishment. All of these things play in a political dispensation.
They are new actors. If people think that Margibi will be the same, Vandela is in the race. They are new faces. They are new actors. They are new orientations. We defended the rights of our people. We stood in this country. We fought regimes, and we melted into a system that was completely not in control. So, hearing the names of individuals, I'm not moved by individuals. In fact, I'm not competing against individuals. I'm competing against corruption. I am competing against poverty, human rights abuse. These are the issues affecting our people. My major opponents in these elections will be people who stay not agree that it is possible. And that's why I will not stop engaging them. These will be my major opponents. We will go to them, we will sit with them, we will discuss with them. Money is not a contingent factor to winning elections.
It plays a lot.
It plays a lot. But the message and the messenger.
You want to reconcile with me that the current politics in Liberia, especially the minds of the electorates, they are carried away by how much they receive to vote you.
I think I want to disagree.
I mean, these things have been proven over times. Evident by the fact that even the process leading to the elections, the conduct of the biometric voter registration, we have seen over times these electors have been trucked and paid to register and vote.
Let me tell you, these politicians who are trucking them, they scheme on those voters. And they entrusted them with power. When they went there, they forgot about them. Now elections are coming, the voters are also scheming on them. They will eat the money, they will go and register. and they will take them. The most disappointing part will be you trap, and the very people you trap, and they will vote against you to punish you because they know. Who told you these people don't know the criminals? They know the criminals. But you know what? The same way the politicians come to them during election, very humble, and they give them power. When they get there, they forgot about them. The voters are also coming very humble to them. When you trust me, I will vote for you. They will eat the money. You bring the campaign money. They will chop your dollar. On the day of election, that is where you will get to understand as to whether deception is good.
And this isn't the first time you have expressed interest to contest, not until sometimes as the process continues, you dash the expectations of those Margibians that depended on you at the time. How rare is this one that you are confirming to us that you will be on the ballot in 2023?
First, let me disagree. I've never one day declared my intention to run for public office. This is the first time. Fandela has never declared.
Is that an open challenge you're trying?
I'm just telling you, I'm just trying to correct you that I am not, the kind of person when I make statement, I withdraw in my Julius Malema voice. I don't withdraw. If I don't want to make a statement, I keep my mouth shut. If I make a declaration, I'll pursue it to the letter. People who listen to me, they know me for that. So this is the first time, like I said, my entry into this political process is a protest. We see the influx of individuals. How dare can Fandela Patrice, who has stood in defense of our rights to exercising freedom of expression, our rights to economic freedom, where many of our people are being subjected into poverty because of systemic corruption. And we see the same people who failed us 7 years ago in the legislature, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and just quite recently, when the aroma of corruption is still smelling on them, and they have not been vindicated, and I will sit in my gibi, history will be unkind to me to say, you are a voice. You saw all these people coming into the process. The depleted state covers, they stole from you. Some of them, can you imagine? Somebody served us in the Senate representative for 9 years, 12 years, and they failed. But after some time, they are coming back.
How do you measure the failure?
I see that, I think Liberian people, Margibian decided. I think Margibi is not a political basketball ground, where when you play, you get tired, you come back on the field. It is not a political basketball ground. It is soccer. When we give you a red card, you will say that you will not play again. So those who are coming, this is the reason why I have said to the people of Margibi, you are going to be on the ballot. October 10, you have a choice to make as to whether you want to send a signal to your children that corruption is a way of life, that someone can misrepresent you, someone can fail you, but yet they will come back and you entrust them with power.
Let's look at your current relationship with officials of Margibi County, particularly the senators and representatives and those those are whole key positions in Margibi that are responsible for decision making. What kind of relationship we have with them? Because it's important we add this caution. It leads us to a point that all of what you are outlined that you want to achieve, especially for Margibi County, can only be delivered at a certain point in time based on your relationship with other officials of the county, so that these things should be implemented. We are concerned about what kind of relationship you have with them.
We have very good relationship, believe me. I agree with some of them what they do. I disagree with some of them. Just recently, I met Senator Jim Tomala, the man who I want to replace. He was very courteous. He welcomed me in his office. We talk, small brother and big brother.
Did he provide you offers? These things are common in politics.
No. We talk Margibi. He only confided in me, and he has said that, he's not running. And that's it. I think it's maturity. Not because I'm going to run for the Senate to replace him, and so therefore he's an enemy. No. I went to him. We had a very fruitful conversation. Sometimes you have to sit with people you understand, what is on their mind. I have Never been very rude to any public officials.
Are you trusting him as one of those individuals perhaps you might be counting on highly as we move along the process?
I'm engaging everybody. My team and I, we are working our modality to Mr. Senator Nukwe to tell him what is on our mind.
Perhaps to seek
I
support
want
from
to
him?
start building a team. I'm not going to wait because, like I said, it will be a contradiction of my platform. They want my Gibi agenda, want to unite the people. Then at this time, I'm in disagreement. I don't want to talk to you because even if they support different candidates against Mandela Party.
How different does it operate when at a certain point in time you see those officials to be corrupt? Are the ones to which the problem, the underdevelopment of my Gibi County can be tied squarely to them. And at a certain point in time, you want to reconcile your agenda with those individuals you want to rupture or you want to have a relationship with them. You will leave the many Magibians wondering as per your sincerity to this process.
Oh, no, I'm sincere, very sincere. Like I said, there's a difference between criticism and hatred. I will criticize you on fundamental issue. I discuss issues. When I meet these people, we discuss the issues. We don't discuss the personalities. And sometimes it will interest you to know the very people you think are very difficult to deal with or they don't agree with you, the way you present the issue, they will see the truthful nature of your sincerity and they will begin to work on issues. I have done that on many occasions. When I meet these people, I go to them and say, look, this is the problem. And this is how we think we can solve this problem. We cannot continue to run MyGibi in factions. We must run MyGibi as a unit. The concept of a country development must be driven by our passion. I'm dreaming about a MyGibi where we'll have the congressional caucus or the legislative caucus of MyGibi traveling to Europe, speaking with one voice, speaking to investors, building relationships with other parliamentarians with the hope of attracting investment in MyGibi. I'm dreaming of a MyGibi legislative caucus that we will sit down, we criticize one another, and we say, oh, I agree that I was wrong in this area, but I'm going to work on these things that you guys are pro for because I made a mistake. I am dreaming of that MyGibi legislative caucus because we represent the people. You make decisions for people. I'm dreaming of that caucus that when you are speaking on one accord, the issue of the Firestone workers, if these people were speaking in one voice, I'm sure this problem will have been addressed. I'm dreaming about that MyGibi. When concessions are signed, our people will not be excluded, but they will be included so they can form part of a decision-making process. So if you see me, it will not be a contradiction. And this is the notion many of us have. I disagree with many people in government in the past, but they are my friends. They are my friends. We discuss the issues, but we leave aside the personalities.
Quickly before we get to the phone lines, it is important we allow Liberians, Magibians, to have the say on this conversation. You have spoken lengthily. One last question. How do you see the current breed of lawmakers, the legislature? This is a place you want to enter. You have lots of ambitions for the people of Magibi, but you want to look at the office you want to take over. How do you see the current breed of those lawmakers and perhaps the legislature in totality?
MyGibi legislator or in totality?
The legislature in totality. You want to describe them? You want to?
Yeah, they have some challenges. You were reading the REED report. And I listened to you very clearly. Some of them performed well, some of them did not perform well. I think they are doing some great job. They have some great people in the Senate, in the House of Representatives. They are doing a very fantastic job. And but I think one of the things we have not been able to do is we are not telling our story beyond the borders of Liberia. I think it's about time we begin to rebrand and redefine the national legislature with different qualities. One of the ways people from other countries around the world will begin to know what the lawmakers, the legislators in MyGibi, in the entire country are doing. In the first place, I think the national legislature need to work on their online presence. I had the time to work as a volunteer at the United States Congress as a fellow for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. There's no congressional person in the United States. They don't have a website. All their activities are on the website, independent website. The bills they pass, the engagement they are engaging, they are following, everything that they are doing in that particular place, it is saying, we want to see our young people looking at the bills that they pass. You don't have to go around into the community telling people what you are doing. When you go into the legislature and the work that you are doing, people from outside, how Liberians outside of this country, how do they follow legislative politics? What are you doing? What are your work? What are your footprints? They don't have a website. I think it's something that will really give them credibility. I don't see them, rubbing shoulders with other parliamentarians. Some of them are doing that, but many of them are not doing that. I think you need to tell our story. I was in Italy the other day attending an international conference. A parliamentarian from Ghana was brave to say Ghana was the first independent nation in Africa. Can you imagine that? And people stood up and they were clapping, celebrating him. He said that's the reason why Ghana is developing. Well, of course, I couldn't say that and allow that to happen. I quickly corrected him. I said, no. I'm from Liberia, and Liberia is the first independent nation in Africa. I do agree we face some challenges, but you cannot beat history. The history is there. When you talk about OAU, we have to tell our story. Let's go out, market the national legislature, market the country. If the president of the Republic of Liberia goes out to look for investors to bring them in the country, and your job only to sign concession agreement, we want to see many legislators leaving, going to China, going to Italy, going to Europe, different parts of the world, to carry people.
The current understanding of most Liberians, quickly before we take calls, is that most Liberians are perceived lawmakers to be philanthropists. In our day-to-day politics, we see lawmakers, we see Liberians, they are begging the situation, their livelihood. At times it doesn't afford them the opportunity, and you see them after those lawmakers for the $5 and $10 as a means of survival. What kind of lawmaker will you be?
Let me just say that I will be a lawmaker that inspire people. I will be the one that will teach you how to fetch, not to consume. I think it's not the Liberian people that perceive the lawmaker that way. It is a political strategy that, when you read the 48 laws of power, that when you keep people hungry, you control them. And that's the reason why we have electoral politicians. You only see them during elections. And they bring the charge, and they waste. They spend $1 million, they spend $1,000. They get back a rest because it's seasonal. When you have people who are driven by electoral politics, seasonal politics, they only come around to do what they can do, then it becomes a problem. I think when you renege on your legislative work, when you're supposed to be making law, let me tell you, one person cannot develop. If you are a legislator and you have 20,000 in your district, $15,000 or $10,000 salary cannot help you. You have to go beyond, to lobby. Go out, bring investors. Go out, build relationships. Go out, attract support. Liberia State needs support. If the president of Liberia can go out and bring investors and convincing people Liberia is good for investment, the president and the lawmakers, they are the same. You may not bring so many investors because you don't have that presidential power, but you can negotiate to bring investors. Demonstrate to the people that you're capable of taking people out of poverty.
Okay, we go to the phone lines now. He is Vendela Patrick. He wants to represent the people of Margibi at the Liberian Senate. He spoke lengthily on lots of issues. I've been even activated phone lines calls. I come in. It seems like good evening and thanks for joining us.
Let me say my good friend and brother and good evening to my senior brother Vendela Patrick.
Thank you. Let's hear you.
Basically from Deba SPA in Lokitan, Jacket District 15, Moscow County. My name is Alexander Obama Putu, Young to the 10,
Quickly, let's go ahead. We have lots of course.
And I listened to the analysis being performed by the senior brother. And I admire one of the points that he offered. He was honest about saying, all good critics we all made or some recommendations. And mind you, I'm one of those who support this issue has to do with young people, critical voice at the level of the force of legislature. So basically, I want to appeal to the consciousness of the people of my city county to see a reason by electing this activate at the next editor. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you. We'll take this person from this far end. Good evening.
Oh, good evening.
It feels good to have you. Let's hear you.
Good evening.
You live. Go ahead quickly.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening to your student guest. For the recognition, I'm Poker Robert.
Quickly, Poker.
And I join you from a comfortable resident on the capital bypass. Good evening, CMF Vendala Patrick. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you very much. I listened to your student guest and he made his case very great in it. I would like for him to know, no, he's a senior man actually, there is no disrespect to him or no matter or the differences of our ideology. But I like his standing. Yeah, every young man should take a kind of standing. I like that. I'm applaud for that. But what happened is we have to be very, very conscious to ourselves. People of Mandela Party is not telling us what he has done for the people of Makibi. The role he has played in the life of the people of Makibi. He has telling us that. And I want you to be very consistent. That are way back thing. That way back 14 when you say we'll tell you the war. It is not operating again. For now, our people are graduated from that stage. Now they are looking at testability.
Okay, Poker, we can keep in the line for long. Take this person. Good evening. Lots of calls coming in. Good evening.
Good evening, Secretary. Good evening to my senior brother in studio, Mr. Patrick.
Good evening. Good
evening to my fellow Nigerians already there this evening. Thank you very much for the Tuesday's conversation tonight on our social media. And this is why I joined the conversation from my resident of former community, to be precise, I'm Alfonso in Samara.
Quickly, Alfonso.
Today gave me an opportunity to speak and touch two portions.
Alfonso, you have to be fast all over the call.
I was summarizing. One how to deal with the educational aspect, and one how to deal with the election issue of Maikiri County. I want to, even though I'm not from Maikiri County, I'm here for local county, but I would like to give an intro on that. All right. The education issue, and you see today our education is not improving or it's not better, it's because of the individuals that they have been power to serve that capacity. And both of them have their own personal institution they are running. As Sonny and that of Amirando in Nirena who has that coverage. Both of them have their own institution. Whenever there is materials come or funding come from the institution of higher learning in the Republic that our brothers and sisters, our children should go there and acquire education so that they can represent our society and represent us tomorrow in the future. When they are bred no force to the broader institution, these are bad otherness and wickedness in our society.
Okay, we got to leave it. A lot of course coming. We're going to keep it in line for long. Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, sir.
Quickly.
Bandura Patrick, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
This is Emmanuel Domukoin from Broadway Bao College Community.
Thank you.
Bandura, I'll tell you, bravo, keep it up. No telling back. You need to come and help the light of our Jerome, Senator Bocha, other people to fight and get the past right.
Okay, we talk to this person. Good evening. Lots of course we can keep you for long. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Let's hear you quickly.
My name is Eric, calling from District 17.
Eric, you live.
It's cool for discussion with the leader, Mr. Vandela Patrick. You see, if I was somebody who lives in Maghibie County, I was going to make sure that I go to the length and breadth of Maghibie County to campaign for Mr. Vandela Patrick. You see, the House of Legislature needs people like understand oversight, people that are able to go out to put forth what it is needed for their country, that are able to debate the issues, not people that will be there, I mean, fighting among themselves. I mean, people that will be able to defend. If you say my country needs this, when you go, you should be able to defend it.
Okay, be able to defend. That's the message. We talk to this person. Good evening. Good evening. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Let's hear you.
District 1.
Your line is coming, break on. You have to shift a bit, but go ahead. Let's hear you.
If I just do well, I don't want to advise I got for him. Because he said, so what he said to me, he said that if you want to criticize, don't go after individuals. We are ready to hear him for that. But I only advise him, he should not be the number one, he shouldn't be like that. You know, the alternate to get flamboyantly. But let it rather deliver.
Deliver for the people, and that's his message. You talk to this person. Good evening, quickly.
Sherry, I don't love how you treat him.
The thing about it, this is not Sekou, this is Harry.
I'm saying because the others should come and help.
No, listen, this is not, listen, let's establish this, right? The land is jammed. So if you already told Vendetta that he should help all the lawmakers that are making strife, I think the message already rests on it. So there is need that we take other callers as well. So this is not Sekou. Sekou is not the radio. So this is not here, but hear my word. We'll take a few more calls. We'll get back to our studio discussing to wrap up on this conversation. The person is right there. Good evening and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good evening.
Let's hear you.
Yeah, my name is Sam B. Dan Johnny from Johnsonville this evening.
Go ahead, Sam.
Yes, I just want to encourage the 15 countries because the Liberian people at the last. The politicians are coming with a drum, singing a choir song. At the end of the day, they're going to let us down. So it's a warning that the people should listen to those songs that they are singing. The choir, there are so many different songs. The success song, successful song, the spiritual song, frustration song, they are coming with it.
Okay, talk to this person. Good evening.
Yeah, let's not talk about for the third time. All of those bad people, we are going to shoot them from our public offices, and Pastor George Mother, we are, and now we cabinets, whosoever who want to run, they will be defeated politically, constitutionally, democratically, who will be there to the Bible comes on October 10. And our next president to be precise to the people, and it's not Hello?
That's how you good evening.
Yeah, this is the best camera from Banjo Oro.
Go ahead, the best.
I just want to give a like to the honorable.
Go ahead, he listen quickly.
You getting me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is the best camera again from Banjo Oro. You know, he is a strong intellectual individual and you understand the Liberian politics. But I just want to say to you that during his advocacy during the early Jose Selita, there was a lot of enemies that, because of their advocacy at the time, they are in society today, and those people are very powerful, and some of them are very corrupt. So entering the parliament, it is a big challenge. Actually, it's a challenge that he must be able to fix it with a strong skin. Because those people are still in authority today, and some of them they
might do everything to fight him. That's exactly what you're saying. We'll talk to this person. Good evening.
That's your seriously. Hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Seriously, I'm much sad with my brother that said that you are cutting people off properly.
Listen. I control the show, right? So if I give you the time to listen, there are lots of calls on the line. So if you have already made your point, all of the things you say behind it, no, they're not really necessary. So if you send a message, listen, I manage the flow of calls, right? Listen now, professionally, I manage the flow of calls. I cannot keep your one for over 1 minute while I have calls coming in. You have to understand this.
To that part, your article is you get a notification ahead of cutting the call. I will call you on having a
I hold you in the line and pick another call. I think that is very understandable.
Yeah, because sometimes we not learn.
Go ahead and make your point, my brother. If you're on to make your point, make use of the opportunity.
Our brother, we feel like we are against it. So I want the aspect of our thinking.
I'm setting a platform that you speak honestly. Whether you against the girls or in favor, it doesn't matter.
No problem. So to that conclusion, what I was telling my senior man is, Matthew has done tremendous effort and people are looking at that direction of Matthew. For him, he may be a good leader. But for now, for him to say the OC, the shallow that have been felt, that have been tested by the people to Matthew, actually, I think, my brother should think in the direction that he must support somebody that have bring progress to his country and going again. Tremendous effort in that country. The issue of building him a resource. I want to help to place money resource capacity money getting the money. Hello?
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. No. So actually, I have a say I give back funds. I don't need to go poker rubber. Nothing for that or for that. But for now, we are looking at the tangibility that have been felt. It's nobody but Natala Fado Makio. For now.
Thank you. We talk to this person. Believe me. You see, so many things I can do. I cut you off now easy. They can start. You already made your point. So, you live. Let's hear you.
Listening.
Go ahead. You live. Let's hear you.
I said, of course, great word that was put up. You pay us for our blood lives as a different and that was we are going to see us for that direction. God will motivate
Your line is actually bad.
That is the word.
Okay.
Yes. I want the election. You win it.
Thank you. We take two or three more calls at 8:30. We'll call this conversation a day. We'll get back to Mr. Patrick to wrap up on the conversation. We'll take one or two more calls. 0770-907-907, 0880907-907. Adding numbers. We'll take one or two more calls, folks. But we'll get back to Mr. Patrick. Listen to the flow of callers. There are many concerns coming. I believe he jotted some of the points they made. Let's squeeze in this person quickly. Good evening.
Good evening.
You live this year, you.
Yeah, my name is Prince Nascimento Godot, and I'm foreign from Pakistan, 13.
Go ahead, Prince.
Let me appreciate you. What a wonderful discussion from the discussion in Pandara is very alarming. Right here, Pandara saying you want Magibi. On the contrary, when you asking about the qualifier of the country intervention and support, you have to look at it. He went to work because of what he mentioned, financial support and more support. Yes, he said that. But he mentioned Natala Magio. He was discussion about the aspect. So for that, you stop this. Come to the disco with fat, but what come with a lot of discussion live. Thank you.
Thank you. And this will be this person been in line for a long time. We hope we can just squeeze you in. It'll be our last caller quickly before we get back to our studio guest. If not, Mr. Patrick, listen to all of the callers. You listen to the concerns coming in. You care to address some of them.
So, thank you very much.
I want to just closer to the microphone. You file.
Okay. Let me start with the last caller. I was very emphatic. I want to work with everybody. And that's why I'm engaging everyone. And I made it very clear, and that's me. I won't stop rebuking people who are engaged in acts of corruption. If you committed a crime in this country, in as much as I want to build unity, that will not stop me from calling for a prosecution to subject you to a court process to exonerate yourself. I have also made it very clear. I disagree with the terminology godfather. No one is a godfather for me. The only godfather that I know was the one who stood for me, because when I was baptized in the Catholic Church, You have godfather. I think I still remember Mr. Patrick Logie to be my godfather. Political godfather, I don't subscribe to those ideology. I think it's a form of mental imprisonment to subdue the minds of a new breed of generational leaders. And that's the reason why young people, 35, 40 years, they still describing them as youth win leaders. And I don't believe in those kind of things. And secondly, to Poker Roberts, let me make this very clear. The days of money speaking, those days are over. You can bring the millions, you can bring the thousands of dollars. These elections will be concluded. McGibbons will make a solemn decision. Like I indicated from the beginning, I'm not desperate. A few years ago, I left this country because I knew that one day I will return to this country with a new mindset, with creativity and innovation. I went to the U.S., worked, volunteered my services at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation for 2 years. I secured a scholarship to go to the Harvard Kennedy School of Government to develop myself, be mentally and professionally equipped to come back to this country, to add to the many opportunities that are here and represent our people, not necessarily in government, but both in the private sector. And we are doing that very well. Yes, somebody mentioned, yes, as an activist, you step on so many toes. Some people will come after you. They want to neutralize you. Some people will harm you. Some people will campaign against you. So yes, I just came from school. But the question becomes, should we fold our arms because we don't have money? This is the narrative we want to change. I'm not a money man. But I want someone somewhere listening tonight that we should refuse to accept that there is no place in society for a poor man. Plo Lumumba said that Africans, most of them are not moved by ideas. They are moved by what goes in their stomach and how money fills their pockets. This is what we want to change. And that's why everywhere I go, I ask these people, you need to support me financially. You need to support me materially. There are people, the other day I was on the radio. The moment I left the radio, someone called and said, Mr. Patrick, I did not know that you are being here. Where can I find you? And they drove to me, and believe me, they printed a lot of banners. Let me just make you to understand. I was here. 5 of my banners are being removed from my giving. Someone just called me from Cottontree. They removed the one in Cottontree. They removed the one in Smell Notice. They removed the other one in District Number 1. We have never gone anywhere. It's just the banners. Go and register to vote. And the people are removing it. It's so ridiculous. I don't know why it's the intention, but I'm a grassrooter. If you remove the banner, you are depriving these young people from going to register. Because the masses know they are leaders. They know. So, I mean, I'm just trying to say this. I have been very unique in my engagement processes. One thing I will never do is to use undigested words on my leaders, because my training does not allow me, my orientation does not allow me to do that. Someone talk about, what have I done for the people of Magidi? If you were to equate my 15 years of activism into monetary time, I have attracted millions of dollars to the poor people of Magidi. No one in these elections in Magidi, from representative to Senate, no one has given scholarship in Magidi more than Fandela Patrick's. I started it in 2004. I was still a student, a freshman student at Cottington University. When I established Campaigners for Change, formerly Show Liberia, no Cottingtonian listening to me tonight. Forget about Magidi. There is absolutely no high school that existed from 2004 to 2010 in Maserado that they did not benefit. Forget about Magidi students. You go to or you go to C.A, B. Harris, St. Teresa Convent, and so many schools in this place. When you go and ask Show Liberia, Don Bosco, we have students on scholarship. Because I did that as a poor child, I was denied the opportunity to go to school. I wanted to give back while I was still in college. So we have helped people. We've been providing microloans since 2012. 2012, the Magidi Student Union, we provided up to 10 scholarships As we speak, we have almost 5 students at the Best Brain International Academy, University. Right now, I'm not talking about high school students. I'm talking about elementary students. We have up to 25. This process started since 2004, not just in Maigibi, Bonkante, Maigibi, and Mosurado. After this show, I can give you names of institutions to go and verify.
Exactly what
right now, like I said, look, when I had a time to travel to the United States, in less than 3 years, over 15% left this country to pursue degrees, including some of our brothers and sisters who are from Mosurado. Through my network, I may not have the money, but I'm very powerful in my networks. So when someone asks, what have I done? I just, try to look at, we don't say this thing. I work with USAID project. It's called Liberia Youth Fragility Assessment. You can Google that. Liberia Youth Fragility Assessment Project, 2009. That project, I was the sole supervisor in terms of engaging people into the ghettos to proffer suggestions to the people of the United States through USAID as to what they can do to improve the lives of our people in Maigibi. That project was a pilot project, including 3 counties, Mosurado, Maigibi, and Grand Basso. At the conclusion of that project, the United States government provided over $40 million. The Booker Washington Institute benefited significantly. It came as a result of our human relations and engaging these people because we represented Maigibi when I graduated from college recently. And so we brought support to Maigibi. Just recently, we sent up to 15 students. From 2021 to 2023, we sent them for international training in Sierra Leone. There are a lot of young people that have sent out of this country, specifically Maigibi. We don't want to call names because they show that. I'm not talking about.
Indeed, obviously, and we're going to have a time where we'll have most of these conversations specifically.
And also, someone talk about there are many choirs that are coming. I think if they have never heard a very beautiful voice of integrity, commitment, I think this voice that is on this platform tonight, they need to listen. I know you were very much, discreet. You were not clear. The problem we have in this country is collective guilt because someone went there and they failed. So the assumption is everybody will go and do the same. But before I take leave of you, I have managed to control my thirst for greed, money, and power. If I was greedy during the days of my activism, I was engaged on many occasions. The current Minister of State is my own big brother, Wuse Blamo. He was a chair or executive of the House of Representatives. He will call me and say, young man, I respect you, but why you don't want to work in our government? And I have said to him consistently, I'm talking about when you were in the UPN government, I told him my advocacy is not driven by job. I'm doing it based on conviction. And I have executed that consistently. So the elections that are coming, it's not about Fandela. You cannot support someone that you don't even want your children to emulate them as role models. The problem we have in this country, when we rebuke people, and we tell them that this thing is wrong. And people see us as individuals who are against the regime. And sometimes people technically hide behind the regime. So we are not prepared to do that. But again, I want to encourage our people, go and register to vote. With your voter registration card, you can make a decision. You can elect the right people to power on October 10th. You can also stop the killings from going to power so that you can save Maigibi from corruption. We are encouraging you. If you are above 18 years, go and register. Again, let me say thank you. If I disappointed people on your media platform, maybe the way I was very I want to apologize, but this is me. I don't bite and blow. I speak my mind. And that's why the people know very well that Fandela is in this race not for himself. I'm in this race for the people of Maigibi. And there are some of you who try to reach me. We don't have the millions. Our pockets are not deep. But tonight, don't judge me based on the size of my pocket. Judge me based on the size of my vision my integrity and my ability to present a new argument that will deliver my Gibi from the dungeon of poverty at the Liberia Senate. Thank you very much.
Okay, he's Vandela Patrick, been our guest. And the last thing I take from me is go register to vote. In all fairness, each and every Liberian, once you reach the age of 18, register to vote. Until then, this is issues of today. This is how we have to take leave of you. And many thanks to all of you that put in your calls. Those of you that follow the interview. Those of you that follow VR Radio. We appreciate every one of you. Keep following the voice of Liberia. And we get the best in terms of our services. This has been a Harris Esbele presentation. So you have yourself a God bless net. Bye-bye from our end on the program.